Something just rolled across my news feed that I wanted to share with you guys. It's big news, right? An Amish guy made it onto America's Funniest Home Videos. How crazy is that? He got his 15 seconds of fame. Well, 5 seconds, whatever. Yeah, let's watch that right now. So this guy, this Amish guy, I have no idea who he is, but I'm pretty sure that he works in an RV factory in northern Indiana, where I come from. So northern Indiana, the northern Indiana Amish community is unique in a way that is where the RV capital of the world is, and most Amish people work in the RV factories. And this guy was one of them. So by the looks of it, it looks like he might have been a group leader or maybe even a foreman or something, because he was wearing a radio. So obviously he just came up into the offices where somebody was waiting for him with a air horn, and they happened to film it. So yeah, that happens quite a bit. The joking around happens quite a bit in the Amish community, a lot in the RV factories. So let's talk about these RV factories a little bit. They're everywhere in that area, and the Amish people, who are hard workers, have kind of overtaken a lot of them, and they make good money there. They make 40, 50 bucks an hour, 60 bucks an hour. They're making 80,000 a year and working 40 hours a week, right? But they work their butts off. So if you don't know, an RV factory, you have about 20 different stations. So the frame comes in the back of the line. They put it on a set of dollies, and then they get pushed side by side down the production line. And then they go out the door finished. There's usually about 20 to 25 stations in an RV factory, and each station does something different. So the one station is done, say, installing windows and doors, it gets pushed over to the next station, and then the trim gets put in, and just on down the line like that. So Amish people, most of them work in RV factories. Farmers have kind of have sold their farms. A lot of them have sold their farms, and they head to the RV factories because they can make more money there, and they're only working 40 hours a week, not 14-hour days. So they usually ride their bikes, or non-Amish people or Amish youth who drive cars, because they're in their Rumspringa stage of life. They can drive cars. They usually pick up all the older Amish people who don't drive and bring them to the factories. And most of them start at about 5 o'clock, so they'll show up at 4:30. And then they'll all wait around till they can clock in, which is usually about 10 till. They all stand in line, they all clock in, and hammer down, right? These guys do not mess around. They usually do about 20 to 30 units every day, the average factory. That's a 32-foot travel trailer, lines, 20 to 30 a day. And it's hammered down. So they do every 20 minutes there's a line roll, and then they repeat the job. So if you're installing windows, you install windows in a trailer. It takes 20 minutes. Maybe you have some other stuff you do. You push the unit over, you get the next one, do the same thing, push it over, the next one, same thing. And 20 to 30 units will get pushed out the door, finished that day. A lot of stuff, the cabinets, the furniture and curtains and all stuff like that stuff is pre-made. So that doesn't mean that 20-some units get built from start to finish every day. It's just how a production line works. They come in the back and then 20-some get put out the door that day. Doesn't mean they were started that morning necessarily. But yeah, it's when you get hired into an RV factory, you get hired in for a specific job. Say it's installing windows. You will be installing windows until you get promoted or you quit. It is rare that somebody gets moved around. So if you're there for 5-10 years, you know what you're doing because you've done it over and over and over. And they've discovered that they have a certain amount of trailers they have to do, and they get paid the same. Since they get paid a piece rate, they get paid the same amount whether they do that quota in 6 hours or 10 hours. And Amish people, they prefer to be at home. So they literally run sometimes. Some of them literally run. And it's hard. You start a job, it's hard to keep up for the first couple of weeks. It is because you're just getting used to that routine. And after a half a year, you have that muscle memory, you can do it in your sleep. And that gets monotonous, right? So jokes are played. People joke around, camaraderie's there, they jib on each other, pick on each other, and it's usually all in fun. And that's, one thing that happened with this guy. Each department is split up and each department has group leaders. I'm assuming that's what he is. He might have been a foreman. I'm not sure. But he just came up to the office and somebody was waiting for him in ambush, in my days I spent 11 years in J.K. in Indiana and then moved to the Twin Falls, Idaho plant. That was something completely different. It just operated different. But we did play jokes on each other. We were always, racing to get our jobs done, even though they were two completely different jobs. But it just helped the day go by faster since you were doing such a monotonous job. And, here's an example. There was a wedding and there was a lot of people off. I was a swingman. So my job was to help wherever help was necessary. Or when somebody took a day off, I jumped in and did their job for the day, which was hard because they did it every day. They had it all down pat. Every step counted. And then I'm thrown in there and I don't do it every day. And I have to, my brain still now is so focused on routine, making every step count, thinking ahead like 3, 4, 5 steps ahead just to try to be able to keep up on their jobs. Because I did a different job every day. So it took a lot of focus. But just for example, that one day we had a wedding, a lot of people were off and they needed sidewall builders, which is the sidewalls are built on a table. And I was building on one side and then a group leader who was filling in for the other guy was building on the other side. So we were kind of two new guys. We knew what we were doing because we'd done it enough, but so we would take sticks and we'd throw it down on the jig and put them in their spots, and he would be doing the same from the other side. Then we would staple the wood together and we'd glue it and throw the paneling on and route it. And he had his parts, he did, and I had my parts, and we worked together. But all morning I kept just trying harder and harder to go faster and faster, and and I couldn't keep up with him. And I was just like, dude, this guy is balling. So I was just faster and faster, as fast as I possibly could. Finally, I threw my staple gun down. I was like, dude, you got to slow down. I can't keep up. And he just looks at me and he's like, I was trying to keep up with you. So this is how it is. That's just how it is. It is balls to the walls until you go home. Breaks, you don't take a half-hour break, lunch break, you take a 10, 15-minute lunch break. Because everybody else does, and if you take your half hour that you're allowed, you're going to be 15 minutes behind, almost a full trailer. So, yeah, the joking is needed, and there's pranks played all the time. I can try to get into some, but right now I have to go pick up my daughter from Awana's, so I'll be back. So anyway, daughter's picked up, pigs are chored, chickens are chored. The chickens are not paying their rent. Only a couple eggs. No, well, it's winter time. That usually happens. So some of the stuff we did in the RV factories, it's kind of your run-of-the-mill stuff, you know, like your firefighters, they'll send the new guy to go look for, you know, the basement, or, you know, half-inch crescent wrench, or, you know, we've sent the new kids on little adventures looking for a cordless extension cord. You know, their second day there, right? They're 16, they're new to this whole new factory, lots going on, brand new, and some guy is like, hey, you know, I need a cordless extension cord. Can you run up to so-and-so, usually the other end of the line, and grab that for me? Just ask him for it. You know, and the kid will run up there, hey, Billy needs a cordless extension cord. He said you have one. I was like, oh yeah, no, then that guy will say, oh no, you know, Adam over here has it, you know, and the kid will run over there. It's just a wild goose chase. But just that stuff typically, you know, I would, since you're always kind of not racing, but you know, you're running all day long, right? So when you're finishing your trailers before somebody else, you know, you kind of get on them a little bit. It's like, you know, hurry up, you know, what's going on? You guys just milking it over there or what? Sometimes one of my favorite jobs to do was the third one before it went outside, the trailer, and that was installing radios and speakers and some other stuff. Because it used to be my old job. And then when I was a swingman, I did it quite a bit because the guy who was doing it had been at Jayco for 30-some years, I think, and he had a lot of vacation days, and he went to horse sales and stuff, so a lot of times I'd step in and do that for the day. But the guys that came, that were in the station after me, you know, I would be told that if the starting time was 5 o'clock, I would, after everybody punch in and start, I would usually wait around, and then the bosses would, the group leaders would say, hey, so-and-so's not here, go do his job. So then I would have to grab my tool belt and get it set up for that job. So I was already a couple minutes behind everybody else, right? And it's a new job, so it'd take a couple, it sucked. A lot of times I would never catch up. People would have to help me. On this job, I knew it well enough that I could switch my tools out fast enough, and in a couple trailers I could catch up. I could get caught up. And before I would get caught up, though, these guys in the station after me, the repair guys, would pick on me. Be like, come on, man. what are you doing? You know, like, hurry up. We're not going to wait on you all day, blah, blah, blah. And so I would get caught up and then get ahead of them. And usually, a lot of times I'd go buy we had a fridge full of sodas and Monsters, and I would go buy 2 Monsters, energy drinks, and I would put them on the countertop with a piece of paper that said, maybe this will help, and, you know, just leave it in the trailer, and I'd go to the next one I got to do, and then they would come in there and see that, you know, it's kind of a big slap in the face. I always enjoyed doing that to them. I think I still have a plaque. There still might be a plaque hanging on Line 4's wall with my name on it, saying I broke the record of something, speed, or I don't know. I know like a couple years ago when I went in there to visit, I still saw it hanging there. Just to rub it into those guys. Those guys are now off doing something else. But yeah, it was just some good old times. You had to break the monotony. You know, some of the bigger pranks. Some of the bigger pranks were. I remember my favorite was one of the Amish girls that worked there drove a truck to work. She was one of the first girls to drive. Very few girls drove back then. I think a lot more do now. Usually it was just the boys. When they turned 16, they'd get cars. But yeah, this girl did. She drove a Ford F-150. And she'd pick guys up on the way to work, and then she'd take them home. And just drop them off on her way home. So I got an idea while I was watching a YouTube video, and I got an idea where somebody hooked the horn to the brake in a car. Now, I was no mechanic, so I wasn't going to mess with wires. So what I did was I took a pigtail, a trailer plug, and I wired the right turning signal, because she made almost all right turns going home. So I wired the right turning signal to a horn. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, so I wired the right turning signal, which is also the brake light, to a car horn. And then at break time, I ran out there, or me and somebody else ran out there. Gary, I think it was you. We ran out there, we plugged it in, we ran it up underneath the truck, and we taped it with just tape. And then we went back to work, and me being a swingman at the time, I was always the last one out of the building, because I was always usually helping in the areas where they were behind the most. You know, these guys are behind, I'd help them, and then these guys got behind, so I'd come over. So I'd usually be one of the last ones out the door. So I didn't get to see it, but they finished up, and they got in their cars to leave. Well, she got in her truck and started it and went to back out, obviously on the brake to put it into drive, and honk. So they were out there. They popped the hood, a couple Amish guys, seeing what's wrong, trying to figure it out. Some of them were trying to convince her. Only one of them knew what was going on. And one of her riders that rode with her, he just played dumb. But they were trying to figure out what's wrong, and some of them were just, yeah, you'll be fine. You have brakes, you'll be fine. So they convinced her to leave. Actually, I think I got done in that time and came out and said, yeah, you'll probably be fine. Just have it looked at or something. I can't remember for sure. Anyway, so she was convinced to just go ahead and go home and take her people home, right? And so she did, but at every intersection, and it's not like Idaho. Indiana is super busy. Like the roads are always busy. So at every intersection she stopped at, hang on. Yeah. So at every intersection, the horn obviously honk, because she was on the brake. And every time she had to use her turning signal before she used the brake, honk, honk, honk. The whole way home, probably 12 miles home. I don't know, something like that. The one rider who knew about it almost convinced her to stop in at a service center to have them look at it. But she decided to just go on home. And when she got home, she was telling her dad what's wrong with her truck. I know this seems kind of weird, telling Amish guys, but most of them drove. A lot of them drove when they were young, and they worked on their own cars. So they know how. Some of them know how to fix cars. Just like that one movie. What is that one movie where the Amish guy fixes a sports car? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so she went home and told her dad what's wrong, and he looked over at the truck and he walks back there and unplugs the thing. Needless to say, I had a hard time getting that apparatus back. I think we did it on one other guy, maybe the boss, and one of the bosses. I don't think I've ever seen it again. I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly. So that was the talk for a while. You know, those things happen, and everybody knows everybody. This girl, it was super jolly and fun. She was just always, you know, she's always just fun. So she was a good one to play it on. You know, and it makes it rounds. People, the Amish community doesn't have TVs. They don't have radios. You know, so this is their entertainment when they can talk about how how this joke was played on that, you know, whatever. So, you know, that's entertaining to them. So they enjoy that stuff for sure. You know, I'll get into it more, but Amish people aren't all serious, broad-brimmed hat, no smile, Bible talk all the time people. They are like everybody else. They like having fun. So that's what happened in that America's Funniest Home Videos. It was the Amish guy, obviously a group leader or foreman or something, came up to the office probably to grab some, I don't know, do whatever he's got to do, and then his buddies were waiting for him. So, yeah, good memories of that monotonous job. We had a lot of fun, had tons of fun. So, good people to work with, hard-working people, usually working together, helping each other. Great community, so. We'll see you next time. If you like what I'm doing, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell icon. Click all so you get so you get notifications for all my videos that come up.